And joining us from Abuja is the Deputy Director of Voter Education and Publicity of INEC, Aliu Bello. Aliu, good morning. It's good to have you join us right now. First of all, let me ask you, make us understand, what kind of pressure is INEC in right now going into this rerun election tomorrow?
Thank you for having me, and good morning, viewers.
What kind of pressure is INEC in right now going into this rerun election tomorrow?
Thank you for having me, and good morning, viewers. As in INEC, the preparation is on course that on Thursday, that is tomorrow, poll officials will visit those 7 units where polls were not concluded on first ballot, and elections will definitely hold tomorrow, God willing.
Yeah, but talk to us about what kind of pressure. Is INEC under some kind of pressure from either political party or candidates, or, well, talk to us about that.
No, not at all. There isn't any pressure. It's a normal procedure, a normal process. And each time we have a challenge like this, we always mobilize and go to field to conclude the polls.
And talking about pressure in another way, during the conduct of that poll and even immediately after on Saturday, INEC got so many recommendations rather from Nigerians and even observers as well. But after the result was declared inconclusive, there had been so many criticisms laid on the doorstep of INEC. So talking about pressure another way, does INEC feel that it's going to, re-strategize in any way for tomorrow's poll because of the backlash?
No, obviously there will be very good security arrangements for the polls, and the commission has already put in place persons that will manage those activities. Yes, of course, after the polls, the commission received wide commendation on the process, and which is good. And the fact is that election was transparently conducted, and the few units that had a hitch in terms of not bringing out the results, and the procedure adopted is that each time when you have the first runner up and the second runner up, the difference or the margin is not to the total number of, is not up to the total number of ballots cancelled. Then, of course, those units involved has to be given a chance to exercise their franchise, and that is exactly what INEC is doing, and we are mobilizing to field tomorrow to conclude the remaining 7 units, and declaration will be made.
All right. We spoke to a lawyer yesterday who said that if at the end of the election, the way it was on Saturday, with just the margin of 353 votes between the first and the second the highest political parties in the vote, in the number of votes cast, that even if INEC had declared the results and said that the one with the highest number had won, that they would not have gone contrary to any rule or any law. Talk to us about that.
Well, the lawyer can have his own opinion, but he also knows that, and he should also recognize that the commission has those procedures in place and has been applying it since the 2015 elections. We applied the same procedure in Anambra election, in Imo elections, in Kogi elections, and the same obtains in this case, and the commission is actually committed to giving a transparent process and conducting the polls the way the law provides. So going by the guidelines of INEC, the remaining few units that have not had the chance of casting their ballots would definitely have the chance before the election is concluded. And that one is covered by guidelines and regulations as well as the laws governing the elections in the country.
All right, one of the observers of that election on the evening of the election day told our correspondent during our open studio that he observed that some core members used to conduct election in that state, and even the police officers put in place to man a particular polling unit were too in a haste to leave their polling units after, even without concluding their jobs there, their duties of pasting the result on the wall and all of that. So what has INEC been doing since Sunday that the election has been announced inconclusive up until today, because the election is tomorrow?
Yes, of course. If anything happened in the field and the report is, and there is a report to commission, the commission normally responds to any report that comes and take appropriate actions.
So what kind of action has been taken since to forestall this kind of, what I just said, happening again?
For now, I think the most primary responsibility is to conclude the election. Then the commission will continue to investigate using administrative procedures and take apply the appropriate sanctions to erring officers.
All right. There are still concerns regarding the issue of vote buying. I wonder what INEC has done differently and is ready to do differently, apart from talking about reorganizing the polling unit or the polling post where the voting will take place, or reconfiguring the polling unit. Ali, can you hear me?
I want to say that at least in...
Go ahead, go ahead.
Something caught anyway. But let me just say, at least in Osun, the measures taken by INEC have actually yielded good results. I want to say that the barest minimum cases of vote buying might have been recorded anyway. But the issue of vote buying, if not because of the measures put in place by INEC, probably it would have escalated to the level that the whole polls might not have turned out to be as credible as it has been.
Yeah, but sorry. But the point there is that people are still talking about the fact that you are putting strategies together to mitigate vote buying on the day or during election at the polling units.